It's always been in me, really. At a young age, I was just scribbling away constantly. So I think it was just something, inherent or natural to me, that I just wanted to kind of scribble. And as I kind of went through the years, I continued to do that. I was kind of doing my artwork, probably not just for the love of art, but I'd be doing it because I was into kind of fantasy at the time, or surfing or whatever. And so I'd be drawing pictures of waves or dragons or whatever. And so it's kind of my love for other hobbies, which I kind of translated into doing with my art, which I enjoyed doing.
And what was the point for you when you were like, okay, I'm actually going to pursue this further and I'm going to like study it and maybe do it as my career?
I don't know, as I was going through my schooling, obviously I could have had the choice, really. I think the careers advisor told me I should be a journalist. But, it was kind of between, I was thinking going down a career as a journalist or kind of pursuing my art. But, that was the thing I was really passionate about. And my parents were very nice to kind of help me, kind of supported me in pursuing that career. So I went to art college, to Falmouth College of Arts, and I did a foundation to start with, which was great to just get a kind of a broad foundation of all the arts areas and where I wanted to kind of specialise in. And I decided, I was thinking about fine art and I was thinking about illustration, and I decided that maybe for a vocational point of view down the line, that illustration would be the path for me. So from then I did a degree in illustration at Falmouth College of Art. So I continued on down there.
And when was the leap for you to kind of quit your 9 to 5 and then become an artist full time? When did you do that?
So that was about 3 years ago now. So, there's quite a lot which happened in between that, but I was, it wasn't something I kind of decided one day and then I was going to, I think it was always been my kind of aspiration to do that at some point. And kind of throughout the years, I was kind of building up a body of work. I started off with a blog, just putting up my artwork on there, and then kind of migrated into doing a website. And kind of as time went by, I was getting more commissions off the back of that. So, and it was just kind of building my portfolio. And it was, the more I did it, the more I wanted to do it. And so it kind of got to the stage where I was getting quite a lot of commissions coming regularly, and not enough hours in the day to do kind of a full-time job plus my art. And also when I had my son came along, I was doing my artwork after we put him to bed at kind of, 7:38 in the evening. Then I'd be going out to my studio and working till, very, very late in the evening, and then kind of having to get up for work the next day. So it was kind of got to a tipping point where, I thought this is a good stage for me to take the plunge and see what happens to go full-time as an artist.
Takes so much time and effort, doesn't it, to kind of build up that work, and also looking after your son at the same time. You deserve a medal for that as well, because it's a lot going on as well as working a job. But if it's something you love so much, it doesn't really feel like you're putting that much effort in, does it? Because you're just kind of, you love it so much, you want to do it. Yeah,
that's the thing. I'm kind of doing it for the love of it rather than, feel like it's a chore and I have to do it. And I suppose for me, being a full-time artist now, it's making sure I still hold on to that kind of passion and wired of it, and it not kind of getting bogged down in it being kind of like a job and I've got to try and make money out of it and think more commercially. So, that's always an interesting challenge to try to get the balance of the two.
And you obviously do graphic design as well. You do obviously your fine art and then your graphic design too. How do they come? Is there any point of it that they blend together? How do they go hand in hand together?
Well, I must say, kind of in the last couple of years, I've been doing more fine art than graphic design. Although they do kind of, I do get the odd job where, I tend to kind of choose the graphic design jobs now, which have an element of illustration to them, or there's some murals I'm doing up at the hospital currently, at the Princess Elizabeth Hospital, and they've asked me to do some literature off the back of that as well, to some educational pieces which will have my artwork within. So it's using my skill set for that. In fact, there's actually lots of ways thinking about it now. Just my kind of expertise in that kind of production side of graphic design as well. So for up at the hospital, I was asked to do some artwork for the walls, but I couldn't, where it was being placed, I couldn't paint it onto the walls directly because I'd be, in the way of people kind of saving lives and doing lots of important things like that. And also I think there's a clinical aspect as well that, the walls have got to be easily wipeable. So my kind of knowledge of how to kind of take some artwork, photograph it, digitally enhance it such a way that the colours are spot on with my artwork and can be enlarged up potentially, 4 or 5 times the size of the original. Those are all skills which have helped me with the graphic design. And I still enjoy that side of it, and that's probably the nerdy part of me, which enjoys the kind of the graphic design and the details of that kind of ensues with that.
Yeah, I guess they go hand in hand sometimes without realising as well. You'll probably have that little bit of knowledge in your brain that maybe not someone else would have, and you're like, oh yeah, actually we could do that instead. You've worked with some pretty big clients as well. You've worked for the New Zealand All Blacks and British Cycling.
Yes.
How did opportunities like that come about, by the way? Because I just think that's absolutely fascinating.
Well, so it's kind of like to kind of take myself back a little bit in time. So I did illustration as a degree, as I said, but just at the end of my degree, I actually broke my arm, and it was my painting arm, and then it didn't heal. And I was kind of there. I was going to need an operation to get it fixed, and I was kind of like, I'm out of action for a bit, and so I just started knocking on the doors of local ad agencies to ask if I could get kind of an experience, because I thought, well, if I can't paint for the time being, I'd try and get a job kind of like in a similar kind of field. And lucky enough, one of the agencies took me on, the then agency Wallace Barnaby, who's not around anymore, but I was lucky that they trained me up, and I kind of went into a path of graphic design accidentally from just having my broken arm, and then over the years I've worked with many different clients and different agencies until I was working at in-house for HealthSpan.
Yeah.
And one of the partnerships that they had was with the New Zealand All Blacks. And that was an amazing campaign to be part of, because the New Zealand All Blacks commissioned them to do a whole nutrition range with All Blacks branding, which is going to go out, it's going to be personalised to them. And then, off the back of that, because obviously they're the elite of the elite when it comes to rugby, that other people would want to buy their products with the similar formulation. So I was involved, everything from the inception of the packaging and the design on that, all the way through to kind of the ad campaigns which followed. So that was fascinating to be part of.
That is really cool. That is what a proud achievement. That's really, really cool to be proud of as well.
Yeah.
I know we talked about obviously your love for illustration as well as your obviously fine art too, and how they link together. You've done all sorts of exhibitions, collaborations as well. Obviously not just in Guernsey too, but in the other Channel Islands, and I'm sure maybe further abroad as well. How does it feel to still see your art in an exhibition? Because we speak to some artists and they're like, sometimes a little bit of imposter syndrome there. Like, oh my gosh, people are actually staring at my art, and obviously you view it completely different to how someone walking in for the first time views it. What is it like for you in an exhibition setting?
Well, I mean, but I think imposter syndrome is definitely there, but you kind of it holds you back really. So it's best to just try not to worry about it too much and just go with it and just trust in the process and that everything will go well. And it's art at the end of the day, and so everyone's got an opinion on it, and so you got to have kind of quite tough skin and just do what you love and have faith in what you do really. So I had an exhibition in April at Art for Guernsey, and that was an amazing opportunity because they'd had discovered and wanted to showcase William Turner had come to the islands, not just Guernsey, but also Alderney, Sark, and Herm. And he did an extensive sketchbook work of sketches of the islands. He did over 100, but not many people knew about that. And so they wanted to showcase that, but they asked me if I do a retrospective and do some artwork, off the back of his sketches. I ended up doing 37 pieces of art for that exhibition. Wow. And now Turner's been one of my heroes since I was at school. I can remember my parents taking me to the Tate Britain to see Turner back then, and completely in awe of his craftsmanship. And so, being approached by Art for Guernsey to, do this exhibition was a huge honour, but also hugely scary because, he's such an epic artist. And so, but, these opportunities don't come around. If I worry about it too much, I'll run away, and I've just got to kind of go with it really. So it was an amazing opportunity. And yeah, you don't know with an exhibition how it's going to be received. You just got to kind of put yourself out there, and I've had lots of lovely feedback from that, and it kind of gave me encouragement to move on from there. And yeah, I've got another exhibition coming up in November in Jersey, actually, which with JARO Gallery, in St Helier. And so that's going to be a series of artwork with Jersey scenes in mind. And I've been going over there over the course of the summer in periods to do some sketches and scout out a lot of the island, which I hadn't visited before. So that was lovely.
Yeah, I bet. I was going to ask what's coming up for you next, but that exhibition seems lovely as well. It's nice as well to kind of go to different locations, but also still quite similar to what you're used to, obviously, in Jersey. Different scenery, but still very similar to, obviously, the rest of the Channel Islands too, but a little bit different as well. Have you noticed any differences coming from the two islands?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I had in mind, because obviously I know Guernsey very well. I know Jersey to an extent. I've been over many times, but I always tend to go to the same places. So as I'm a keen surfer, down to St Wands and that kind of West Coast. But it was nice for me to really explore and see kind of the difference. So I think the first thing when I was actually thinking about it this time over is the sand's a different colour. It's more of a kind of like a ochre, kind of deeper, kind of browny colour, which was interesting. The pebbles as well. The vast expanses of the beaches are larger as well. Obviously St Wands is a massive beach compared to anything we have in Guernsey. But there's very much similarities as well in the cliffs, and I think kind of the people and the nature of the islands. They've all got a similar vibe, which I really love, and especially the ocean is something which really connects with me.